Good day everyone, and I hope everyone is doing well. I am Sir Del, and for today's video, we are going to discuss the role of technology in the delivery of the curriculum. And in this video, the desired learning outcome are the following. In the past lesson, we've learned how to design a curriculum, and that design curriculum is nothing but a piece of paper and if we are not going to implement it. And in implementation of that curriculum, there is the role of technology, and that is what we are going to discuss today. First, let us define what does technology means in this topic. Technology here means instructional media, media technology, or simply learning technology, which is an umbrella term that describes communication, information, and technological tools to enhance teaching and learning experience. So in short, it is the use of technology for the purpose of education. And this instructional or learning technology can be classified into projected and non-projected. So what are the difference between the two? So, non-projected media technology are those media technology na hindi na kailangan ng projection equipment para magamit for educational purposes. What are the examples? For example, are field trips dahil hindi na siya kailangang i-project. Another is audio material kasi kailangan lang natin is speaker. Kits, teaching kits such as ABRC na ginagamit for enhancing children reading comprehensions. Others are the traditional boards, blackboard, whiteboard, anything except smartboard. And the last are the printed materials such as books, magazines, newspaper, etc. At kung ang non-projected media ay hindi na kailangan ng projection materials para magamit sa educational purposes, the projected one ay kailangan ng projection materials such as projectors or TV. For example, slides. For example, PowerPoint presentations. Films, VCD, DVD, or any other audiovisual material na nakaburn sa isang disk. Some examples, other examples are overhead transparencies or overhead projections, which is a technology in the 90s. And last one are multimedia presentations na kailangan nating i-play sa TV or gumamit ng projector para magamit sa education purpose. At itong dalawang types ng media technology na ito is pwede namang gamitin ni teacher sa kahit alin. Wala namang mali kung gagamit siya ng non-projected or projected one. Ang mahalaga is nagkakaroon ng objective matching between the materials at sa lesson ni teacher. Before choosing the media technology that you are going to need in your lesson, there are some factors that you need to consider. And the first one here is practicality. What does it mean? It means that before using or before thinking for a technology, you should ask yourself if it is readily available, if the equipment, if it is hardware, or the material, if it is software, is available. Kailangan munang alamin kung you can use that anytime kasi andyan lang siya sa paligid, or kung hindi na, aside from that question, you should ask yourself, how much will it cost in acquiring that specific equipment or that software? At dito naman pumapasok yung creativity natin as a teacher when we find alternatives on different technology that is not readily available. So that is the first factor, which is the practicality. The next one or the next factor is the appropriateness of the media technology in relation to the learners. Before you going to use a specific media technology, you should ask yourself if ito bang media technology na gagamitin ko is suitable for my students. Ito ba is appropriate for my students, or ito ba is kayang i-comprehend ng aking mga estudyante? For example, you're an elementary teacher and you want to teach animals for children. Anong video kaya yung kailangan mong i-project? Yung video na pwedeng i-comprehend ng iyong mga estudyante. Ito ba yung galing sa isang British TV or isang animated one which have a much simpler English? Aside from that, you should also ask yourself if this media technology you are going to use can be really a source of education and not just pure entertainment. For example, you want to project a film for your students and they are unable to extract the education you want them to see in that movie, but they just watch it and then they just, they just feel like they are having a movie marathon without thinking that that movie has a specific educational content. The third factor that you need to consider is the activity or the suitability. Before you are going to use a specific media technology, you should ask yourself if this media technology will fit the different instructional events I had in my lesson plan, which will result in either information, motivation, or a psychomotor display. The last and the final factor you need to consider in choosing a media technology is if it has a objective matching. Overall, you should think that the technology that you are going to use really has a connection or really can fulfill the objectives you have set in a specific lesson, or hindi yung parang pinilit mo lang na mag-include ng technology sa yung mga lesson without really objective matching. So it is just a reminder for us that never kill the purpose of technology. Kung ginawa ang technology for education, we really need to use technology in the way that it is really needed for the education. So we should have objective matching. And now that you have now a background in technology as well as the factors in choosing media technology, we are going back to the questions we have on the first part or in the objectives. What is the role of technology in delivering and implementing the curriculum? In this time and age, we can see that the technology, when it comes to commerce, science, and education, is fast approaching and innovating to the point that we cannot foresee those changes. We cannot observe those changes because it's really, really fast. However, those technological innovation can make an impact in delivery of more effective, efficient, and humanizing teaching and learning experience. At dahil nga sa emergence ng technology, nagkaroon ng iba't ibang trends when it comes to education. Pero in this video, we are only going to tackle 3 of them. Pag-usapan lang natin sa kanila ay 3. Ano yung una sa 3? Ang unang trend ay the paradigm shift from teacher-centered to student-centered approach of learning. Dahil na rin sa pagdami or madaling pag-access ng information ng informations online, hindi na si teacher ang nag-iisang nagpo-provide ng knowledge. That is the reason why the students are encouraged to discover their own learning, and that is the shift of approaches when it comes to education. Ang ikalawang trend naman is the broadening realization that education is not only a process of giving facts, or as we all know, this is the simplest form of knowledge. Instead, it is an educative process of cultivating a student's cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, as well as honing their 21st century skills na kailangan nila sa future nila. At among those 3 trends, itong last is the most popular, which is the use of ICT or the integration of ICT materials in the classroom. Already in turn in the past century, ICT in its various form and manifestation has a rapid impact and influence when it comes to education. And that impact is expected to rise even more dahil na rin sa development ng technology. And one of its contributing factors is the spread and development of computer. Dahil in these past centuries, in these past years and these past decades, nagkaroon ng evolution ng computer from a simple one to a machine that has a capability to do anything. At ang pinakamahalaga sa lahat is lahat ng tao is nagkakaroon na ng access sa computers dahil mismo kahit yung ating mga smartphones can act as a computer dahil lahat na magagawa ng computers is magagawa din ng ating smartphones. No wonder it also called a microcomputers. But for now, there are 4 primary roles na ginagampanan ng learning technology when it comes to delivery of the curriculum. At ano-ano yung mga yon? The first one is the upgrading the quality of teaching and learning in schools. Number 2 is the increasing the capability of the teacher to effectively inculcate learning and for students to gain mastery of lessons and courses. Number 3 is broadening the delivery of education outside schools through non-traditional approaches to formal and informal learning such as open universities and lifelong learning to adult learners. And last is the revolutionizing the use of technology to boost educational paradigm shift that give importance to student-centered and holistic learning. At yung mga primary roles ng learning technology na nabanggit ay nakabase sa isang framework na technologically driven teaching and learning na tinatawag na TPACK or TPACK, which stands for T, technological knowledge, P, pedagogical knowledge, and C is the content knowledge. So, yung designer ng framework na ito ay naniniwala na yung tatlong yun ay nagkakaroon ng interconnectedness. Kaya, yung mga questions regarding doon is kailangan i-consider ng isang teacher bago siya mag-develop ng curriculum. At ang mga question na yun ay ang sumusunod. Una is, what shall I teach? Or ano yung ituturo ko? Ito ay tumutukoy sa content knowledge. The second one is, how shall I teach the content? Paano ko ituturo ang content? Ito ay tumutukoy naman sa pedagogical knowledge or the art of teaching. And the last one is, what technology will I use in order for me to teach the content? Or anong technology kaya yung gagamitin ko para maituro yung content? At ito naman ay tumutukoy sa technological knowledge. At para mas maintindihan ninyo ang TPAC framework, narito ang isang diagram. So, dumako na tayo sa last part ng aking report, which is the criteria in the use of visual aids. So, learners, we say that we learn 83% through sense of sight compared to other senses na onti lang yung ambag, kagaya ng sense of hearing, which is just 10%, sense of smell, which is just 4%, sense of touch, which is 2%, and sense of taste na meron lang 1%. At dahil nga we learners are learning 83% using the sense of sight, yung mga visual aids ay isa sa pinakamahalagang technology. That is why the teacher should consider making those visual aids na much more informative. At sa paggawa ng visual aids such as charts, such as transparencies, kung gumagamit pa kayo ng transparencies, slides or computer-generated presentations, ay mayroong mga tinatawag na basic principle of visual aids design. At para magkaroon tayo ng much more knowledge, here is the criteria. At ang unang criteria sa paggawa ng visual aids ay lettering style or font. Kapag gagawa tayo ng visual aids, kailangan ang typeface or lettering style or font na gagamitin natin ay consistent or with consistency. Which means, kung ano yung ginamit natin sa first part na font, yun na rin yung gagamitin natin hanggang sa huling part. Another one is, it should be harmonious. Kapag sinabi nating harmonious, yung mga fonts na nasa visual aids ay parang mag-asawa na they come together as one. At upang malaman natin kung harmonious ba yung font na gagamitin natin, ang tip na mabibigay ko is mag-search kayo sa internet ng font that goes best with dun sa font na inyong napili. These three are the examples and my favorite when it comes to font styles na nagkakaroon ng harmony. At ang ikalawang criteria naman sa paggawa ng visual aids ay number of lettering style. Kapag gagawa tayo ng visual aids, hindi natin kailangan ng napakaraming font. Though sinabi ko nga kanina na dapat harmonious, kailangan lang nating pumili ng 2 or no more than 2 in a static display. Ano yung example ng static display? Example nito ay chart, tables, and bulletin boards. At ang third criteria ay the use of capitals. Sa paggawa ng short titles o kaya naman ay mga headline, ang pinaka-maximum na dapat nating gamiting words ay 6 words. Dahil kung lalagpas na yon, that would be off. Parang iba na siyang tingnan. At ang fourth one naman ay ang lettering colors. Lettering color should be easy to read and see. Kaya use of contrast is good for emphasis. So dito madalas tayo nagkakaproblema dahil minsan yung font color ay hindi bumabagay dun sa ating background. And ito yung mga ginagawa ko upang bumagay yung lettering color dun sa backgrounds. The fifth one is the lettering size. Kailangan kapag gagawa tayo ng visual aids, yung lettering size natin ay mababasa kahit na dun sa pinakalikod ng classroom. So kung halimbawa gagawa tayo ng PowerPoint presentations, kailangan yung font size nung content ay hindi na bababa sa 28 or 36. Or kung kung printed or tar papel, kailangan nababasa pa rin kahit sa uli. The same criteria. The sixth one is the spacing between letters. Kapag gagawa tayo ng visual aids, kailangan yung spacing natin sa kada letra ay equal, ibig sabihin pare-pareho, and even. Ang ikapito naman is the spacing between lines. Kailangan yung space natin sa kada lines ng ating mga content sa loob ng isang visual aids ay hindi magkakadikit. Kasi kung magkakadikit yun, may tendency na mag-blur siya kapag nasa likod na or hindi na talaga siya readable. Kaya, always consider the spacing of the content in the visual aids. So, dito naman tayo sa pangwalo. This is the number of lines. Gaano ba talaga kadami dapat na lines sa isang slides or sa isang portion ng visual aids? Sabi sa source natin, it should be no more than 8 lines of text in each transparency or slide. Ibig sabihin, ang pinaka-maximum na passages na kailangan nating ilagay sa visual aids ay 8. So, kapag lumagpas na doon, magiging iba na siyang tingnan or may tendency na mapuno yung slides at maging crowded na magdadahilan naman para hindi na ito maging readable. At ang pang-siyam na criteria kapag gagawa tayo ng visual aids ay the appeal. Kapag gagawa tayo ng visual aids, kailangan may appeal, which means it should be unusual or catchy. So, it's a no-no na dapat ay plain lang yung presentations or the visual aids. Hindi pwedeng text lang at plain yung background. Kailangan it should be unusual para makakatch tayo ng attention ng ating mga students. Pero wag naman yung sobrang over naman sa mga design kasi nawawala yung focus ng mga estudyante dun sa ituturo natin. So, my suggestions is gamitin natin yung mga animations features ng iba't ibang PowerPoint maker, kagaya ng mga entrance effects, motion effects, emphasis effects, at ending effects, yun ba, if I am not mistaken. So, gamitin din natin yung mga transitions na available, at of course, pwede rin tayong gumamit ng mga GIF file kung saan gumagalaw yung mga pictures na yon habang nagpi-play yung slides. In that, makakapukaw ng interest yung iyong mga slides, pero ipapaalala ko lang na wag naman nating sobrahan yung mga animations kasi mawawala nga yung focus ng ating mga estudyante. It should also be interactive. So, pwedeng marami namang tutorials sa YouTube kung paano gumawa ng iba't ibang interactive PowerPoint. Kagaya nitong example na ginawa ko na mayroong mga parang folder na biglang nag-i-slide. And the 10th criteria is the use of directional or yung mga tinatawag nating mga devices. Ano yung mga yon? Una is yung arrow. Gagamit tayo ng arrow upang masundan ng mga estudyante natin yung flow ng activity, ng event, or ng process na ating tinuturo. The second one naman is the use of bold letters. Pwede natin gamitin yung bold letters para bigyan ng emphasis yung ibang words, dates, facts, and ideas. Pwede rin tayong gumamit ng bullets para sa ating mga slides.
puro precious lang yung nakalagay at yung mas malaking details nun is tayo na mismo yung magdi-discuss. The use of contrasting color and size, of course. And the last one is the special placement of the item. For example, merong isang certain part ng slides mo na dun dapat nakalagay yung pictures. In that, magiging mas organized, magiging mas maayos, at magiging mas catchy ang ating mga visual aids.
So, let us synthesize the topic. In this topic na pag-aralan natin, una ay i-define ang technology, learning technology, at nalaman natin na itong learning technology na ito ay mayroong two types, the non-projected and the projected one. The non-projected, hindi na niya kailangan ng mga projecting materials, while yung isa, kailangan niya ng projecting materials. At sa second topic naman ay pinag-aaralan naman natin yung mga factors for technology selection at nalaman natin na meron tayong apat na dapat na i-consider. Number one nga is yung practicality. The second one is the appropriateness in relation to the learners. The third one is the suitability or the activity. And the fourth one is the objective matching. Sa third topic is pinag-aaralan natin yung role of technology, kung saan nalaman natin na dahil sa technology, nagkaroon ng 3 paradigm shift, which is the first is the paradigm shift of teacher-centered to student-centered approach. The next one is the broadening realizations ng education, hindi lang pala for identifying facts, but to cultivate the affective, psychomotor, and cognitive as well as the 21st century skills of the learner. And the last one is the ICT integrations, kung saan dinefine naman natin na mayroong na-identify na primary roles. At yung mga primary roles naman yun is nakabase sa isang technologically driven learning and teaching framework na TPAC. At yung TPAC na yun ay tumutukoy sa technology knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, at sa technological knowledge, kung saan kailangan i-consider yun ng mga teacher in designing and implementing the curriculum. At the fourth and the last topic naman is yung mga criteria na kailangan nating sundin sa paggawa ng mga visual aids. So at this point in time, I will make the take action part of the module. So this is what I do, or this is my work.
Sa take actions, ang direction ay gumawa ng lesson plan. Kailangan kong mag-decide sa A, a specific lesson to be taught, B is the learning objectives, C is the choice of media, and D is preparing in a grid form of lesson plan, which is shown in an example. At sa activity ito, ang pinili ko ay isang topic under the subject of urban geography. The subject is urban geography. Ito ay para sa second year college student. The class size is 25. Durations is 1 period or 1.5 hours. Lesson is the urbanization issue at ang topic ay overcrowding and overpopulations. Sa first part, nilagay ko yung specified desired learning outcomes. At the end of this lesson, the students are expected to A, define overpopulation and overcrowding as one of the urbanization issue. Letter B is recognize the reason why overpopulation and overcrowding became an urbanization issue. And the C is to show the effects of overpopulation and overcrowding by using of a role play. Ang mga instructional media ko namang gagamitin ay objects kagaya ng basket at mga fake na vegetables. Letter B is the PowerPoint presentations and letter C are video clips. So ito yung mga activities na gagawin ko. First is to gain attention. The teacher will ask the students to answer the guess the gibberish words that is connected to the lesson. Ang guess the gibberish words ay isang parang game siya na huhulaan mo yung iba't ibang words in a different spelling. So, ayun, yun yung motivation. The next one is the teacher will inform the students about the desired learning outcomes na nabanggit ko na una. The third one is teacher will ask the student about the past lesson or urbanization issue and connect it to the incoming lesson. Ito naman ay yung review ng nakaraang discussion at magiging transition para sa bagong topic. The next one is teacher will conduct a lecture of the topic using PowerPoint presentations and multimedia such as video clips. Dito naman magdi-discuss na si teacher tungkol sa topic. The next one is, momentarily, the teacher asks the students if they understand the topic. The next one, the teacher will group the students into 3, the group art, group act, and group sing, and ask the student to answer why overpopulation and overcrowding is an urbanization issue and answer it in a creative way. After 10 minutes, student will present their output. Pagkatapos nun, the students assess other groups' performance before the teacher gives his assessment. The teacher will give a short quiz and check it afterwards. At ang last part naman ay teacher will summarize the lesson and give the most important details.
And that is my output in the take action part of our modules. And so now it's our turn to see if we learn something from my report. This is the self-check part. Let's see, we have 2 activities here.
So, ito yung first activity natin sa self-check. The direction is, assess a visual material or presentation such as transparency or PowerPoint slides. Using the criteria below, check yes if it complies with the criteria or make X if it does not comply with the criteria. So, in this activity, pwede ninyong gamitin yung inyong mga lumang PowerPoint slides. So, pwede kayong makapag-reflect kung ano yun dapat yung itama sa paggawa ng visual aids. So, nakalagay sa criteria ay yung 10 criteria natin sa paggawa ng visual aids, and on the right side naman is i-check mo siya kung yes or no.
That's the first activity you need to work on. The second activity is still under the self-check is this activity.
Sa second activity, i-analyze nyo yung take action ko na ginawa, which is the simplified lesson plan, using the illustration of the TPACK framework and provide answer to the 4 major question below. So, you are going to answer this matrix. Meron siyang key question at under nun ay may 4 na questions.
So, in this part, ito naman yung self-reflect. So, here is the things you need to reflect.
So, in this self-reflect, this is the situation. In a proposed mastery approach to instruction, the teacher, A, presents the lesson to the class, B, assess if learners attain mastery of the lesson, C, provides enrichment activities with the use of technology, and D is remediates the non-mastery students and moves on the next lesson. So, these are the things you're going to reflect on. Number 1, how is the mastery approach better than traditional one? Number 2, the mastery approach appears time-consuming and difficult. Do you believe practice and experience can overcome these difficulties? The third one is, how can technology help in enrichment activities? And the last, should the effective use of media be also assessed by the teacher? Why?
And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you learned something from me today. This has been Sir Del, and see you on my next discussions.